Everything you think you know about Forrest Gump is wrong. Sure, you might have seen it in theaters, or caught one of the endless TV reruns. And I know you've yelled, "Run, Forrest, run," more than a few times.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
But the truth about Forrest Gump is stranger and darker than you know. So, what does Jenny really die of? What does Forrest really say at the Washington Monument speech when his mic cuts out? What's the real story behind the script? And who got screwed out of millions of dollars? Why was a sequel developed for years and then suddenly squashed? And most importantly, what's the shocking truth behind Jenny's death? Today we're gonna find out all this and more, from desert island cannibals to financial scams. The most iconic film of the 1990s is about to get a whole lot weirder and a bit dark. I might not be a smart man, as Forrest says, but I'm smart enough to know you're gonna want to stay tuned. We here at What Happened spend a lot of time researching topics, writing scripts, voicing said scripts, and then editing all that together into something we sure hope you enjoy. So if you do, please smash that thumbs up icon for us, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video. But now, grab your box of chocolates and buckle up, because we're gonna find out. What happened? The Secret Speech. Forget the Gettysburg Address. One of the most iconic speeches of all time is Forrest Gump's speech at the Washington Monument.
My name is Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump!
But unlike most speeches, this one is famous because nobody heard it. For years, people have wondered what Forrest actually said up on that podium. And now, years later, the truth is coming out. I'm sure you've seen Forrest Gump. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be watching this video. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Run, Forrest, run, go watch it. Okay, great, now you're back. Do you remember his mic cutting out just as he starts to speak? So what did he actually say? Believe it or not, the writers of the film actually intended to have Forrest say something, but they struggled to find the perfect thing for him to say. So they kinda found a loophole. They'd cut the mic at the crucial moment.
In Vietnam,
So they wouldn't have to write anything. I mean, screenwriters will do anything to avoid work. So does that mean that there was never any speech in the first place? Not quite. Tom Hanks had to go up there and say something after all. And for decades, his actual words were lost to history. But now, long after the film has come and gone, the truth is revealed. Forrest Gump's speech goes something like this. Sometimes when people go to Vietnam, they go home to their mamas without any legs. Sometimes they don't go home at all. That's a bad thing. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, yeah, that's incredible. Sounds like something Forrest would say. And I'll be honest, a speech you can't hear is better than most speeches. I mean, woof, there's a ton of boring ones I wish I could unhear. What's the real story behind Forrest Gump? Forrest Gump is a pretty dang crazy film on its own, but the story it's based on is somehow even more insane. How did Forrest go from an unhinged demigod into an American icon? Let's take a look. At first glance, Forrest Gump might seem like he ran right out of the mind of a slick Hollywood screenwriter, but that'd be wrong. The film was based on a book, also named Forrest Gump. But the book is a bit different from the touching American tearjerker we all know and love. Well, it's a lot different. You see, in the book, Forrest does everything Forrest does in the film, and a whole lot more. Here are just a few more things book Forrest gets into. Becomes a professional wrestler. Goes to space with an orangutan. Crash lands on a desert island when the orangutan wrecks the ship. Learns chess from the cannibals that live on that island. Catches the Watergate burglars. Oh my god. Book Forrest makes movie Forrest look like a shut-in loser in comparison. When the film was made, the author Winston Groom was paid a relatively small flat fee, but he did get 3% of the film's profits. Sounds like a good deal to me. Forrest Gump brought in $300 million, making it the second best performing flick of 1995.
I am a man of my word.
okay.
Yeah, but don't you be thinking.
So, it sounds like the author would be rolling in it, right? Well, no. The Hollywood suits behind the movie did a little bit of what's called Hollywood accounting, when you use quote-unquote creative methods to make a well-performing movie look like a dud on paper. These nerds did enough number-crunching magic to make Forrest Gump look like a loss on paper, which meant that Winston did not get a dime of the hundreds of millions of profits. Tom Hanks sure made millions off the film because his accountants were smart enough to get a share of the gross profits, the total money that came in. But on the other hand, the writer only secured net profit percentage points, which, according to those genius spreadsheets, did not exist. Will there be a Forrest Gump sequel? There was a while where Hollywood was making a sequel to just about everything. Star Wars, of course. Jurassic Park, rawr. Spider-Man, you got it. I mean, even Jumanji. Heck, we're already working on a sequel to this video as we speak. So it only seems natural that someone would want to make a sequel to Forrest Gump. So, is there a Forrest 2 in the works? Let's find out. The author of the Forrest Gump book wrote a sequel, and conveniently in 1995, the same year the film came out. Here's just a few things that happen. Bubba Gump Shrimp Company goes bankrupt. Oh no. Forrest goes on a military mission for Ronald Reagan. Forrest causes the fall of the Berlin Wall. Forrest fights in the Iraq War. Forrest meets Tom Hanks and is not impressed. Okay, so I'm not sure there's a lot there. There were talks of a sequel version of the film too. And man, was it supposed to be crazy. Forrest would dance with Princess Diana and ride on the roof of O.J. Simpson's Ford Bronco during that famous chase.
This is O.J. Simpson's vehicle.
90 million people watched as Simpson was driven around Los Angeles.
But neither the director nor Tom Hanks thought a sequel was necessary. And you can't really make a Forrest Gump film without Tom Hanks, you know. What did Jenny die of? Some movie mysteries will probably never be solved. What's in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, you know? How did the Joker get his scars?
Is it the scars? You wanna know how I got them?
And most importantly, what did Jenny die of in Forrest Gump? Whether the answers are forgotten, hidden, or never existed in the first place, sometimes we're better off not knowing. But Jenny's tale is a bit different. After years of being kept a secret, the truth is coming out, and it is a bit more complicated than you might have thought. No matter what causes it, Jenny's death is one of the most tear-jerking things in movie history. The writers of the film have said that Jenny represented the dark side of American culture, while Forrest represented the ideals of America: mom, God, and apple pie. When Jenny dies, it's like losing a part of our country. But the film doesn't tell you what Jenny actually dies of. Were the writers just lazy again, scared to commit, or is the truth being buried? Well, let's go back to that book version of Forrest Gump, because there is a clear answer. Jenny dies of hepatitis C, which is transferred through needles. It's a natural conclusion to her pretty tragic life of substance abuse. But remember, the film ended up being a bit different from the book, and Jenny's death is no different. Because the truth is coming out. In an interview with the director of the film, he revealed that the film universe had Jenny die of AIDS. In fact, the planned sequel was supposed to start with Jenny's son, Forrest Jr., also having the disease passed down to him. I mean, yikes, talk about a serious bummer. Personally, I think Tom Hanks was destined to play Forrest Gump on screen. But did you know there were some other pretty big actors considered for the part? You got Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, and Matthew Broderick, all considered for Forrest. But the frontrunner, in fact, was John Travolta. I mean, Matthew Broderick, maybe Travolta, I'm not sure. Personally, I think we got pretty lucky, to be honest. So, what do you think? What are your thoughts on Forrest Gump? Would you put it up there with the best American films of all time? Or is it nothing more than a convoluted TV rerun mess? Please get in the comments because I know people have very specific feelings on this. So let's battle it out in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, which we sure hope you did, please hit that thumbs up icon, it really helps. Subscribe to our channel and come back often so we can keep telling you